Hello, everyone, and welcome back to NFL Picks with your boy B Buck, Mr. Tom Ria Sports, joining us very shortly. Here for Mr. Tom, what up, big dog?
What's up, Big Buck? Good to see you.
Good seeing you, brother. Can you hear me?
I can hear you good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Perfect. All right, NFL Week 13, NFL picks for you guys. You know we're coming at you every week, doing our best to get you as many picks right as we can. NFL Week 13, Thanksgiving week of football. No teams on a bye this week, guys. So we got all 16 games. All 32 teams are playing. That means we have 16 picks in the point spread, over, under, money line every game. 48 picks total. It's been a while since we did it, but we're gonna pick every one for you the best we can and try and do our best. Before we get into this week's picks, guys, let's do a quick recap of last week, week 12. Not the greatest week, but actually not too bad. We still went over 50%. I went 23 of 42. Guess what Tom did? 23 of 42. It's becoming like a running joke on this series that we always end with the same amount of picks or like close to it somehow, because we had very different picks this last week. To prove that, I went 8 of 14 on the point spread, 4 of 14 on the over-under. Very disappointed myself there. But 11 of 14 on the money line. That's pretty cool. Had a push. Second week in a row we had a push. Tom, 23 of 42, went 5 of 14 on the point spread. It was a weird week. 9 of 14 on the over-under. Tom's really been picking that up since the mid-season recap, which I know he wanted to. And 9 of 14 on the money line. So, guys, and let me also throw in there, Tom went 2 of 3 on his confident picks. Very impressive. I went 0 of 3 on mine. Not a horrible week. Not disappointed in it. I hold us to a high standard. So that's why I'm not really happy with it. But we still went above 50%. And it was a weird week of games. I didn't even bet on it. I didn't like any of the bets. And, what do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I agree. It was. We were talking about it before we went live, but all those big spreads like Seattle, the Jets, the Lions, the Jets game, I should say the Ravens, but none of them hit. And I had a few of those thinking that they would. And I know Seattle was close to hitting. The Ravens were close to covering the spread. Lions never really were. Giants should have won in that game. But, yeah, it was a weird week. But like you said, for our standards, not what we want, but overall, not terrible. Hilarious that we always end up at the same. But excited for this week because we got everybody playing. We got a ton of picks. And shoot, man, I feel like 30 at this point, like with this many games, is the bare minimum. And hopefully we can get even higher.
That's a good point, man. All right, let's get into it so we have time. NFL Week 13, NFL Pick Series. We're back. Guys, to kick us off, tomorrow, it's Wednesday night right now as we're recording this. Tomorrow is Thursday, Thanksgiving. Like always, 3 games for you. Thursday, 1 p.m., Thanksgiving. First game of NFL Week 13 is the Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions, just kind of did their thing. We're in a shootout with the Giants, let them hang around. It was a pretty high-scoring game. Went over 50.5. Pretty cool. And here they are again, back at home. Lions are a different team at home. Packers, did they even play last week? Yeah, they did against the Vikings and then squeaked out a win. Actually, no, it looks like they won by more than 6.5, but they won as well. 2 teams coming off a win, playing in Detroit, division rivals. Fun Thanksgiving game. Guys, when I look at this one, I was just telling Tom, I'm kind of torn on it because Packers defense has looked a little better, since the Eagles game, and the Lions offense is coming back too. I'm expecting a high-scoring game, but I would not be surprised if it did go under with like 2 decent defenses. I know the Lions were on a tear for a little while there, about 4 weeks back with their defense, and they've been letting up points now. But just because of that, I'm going to go out here on a limb, and I don't know, I could be wrong, and it's not a reason to pick for this year, but every time I watch Thanksgiving football games, I always feel like the first game's high scoring, then the other 2 are low scoring. But with that said, I'm going with my gut. Even if this game ends around 44, I'm going with the under in this one. Maybe the defenses show up a little bit for these 2 very good offenses. The spread is pretty close here, guys. It's pretty close. The Packers kind of won a couple games that they needed to win. The Lions, believe it or not even in the playoff picture as of right now, which is insane to think about. But I think the Lions squeak one out at home. Campbell and that Lions team, even without Laporta, is a different animal at home. It's going to be a tough test against the Packers, 2 teams in desperate search of a win to try and catch up with the Bears of all teams in this NFC North. Do I think they win by 2.5? Since I'm taking them to win, yeah, maybe I actually think they might win by like a field goal, no more than 7. Because I've given the Packers their credit in this game too. It's gonna be a close one. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I think I don't have much difference of opinions here. I think Lions are going to win. I think it's going to be just by a field goal, if not a little bit more. So I'm going to take them -2.5, and I'm going to take the over with you as well. I'm a little sketched on it because Packers defense can be really good, and like you said, Lions defense has had its moments, but I don't know. These short week games, both these teams know how important this game is. I think it might come out slow and then pick up, or maybe pick up and then slow down, but I think either way they're going to find a way to get over 48 here. So yeah, I like the Lions to win by 2.5, and I like the over in this one.
And then the Lions to win outright? Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, guys. And then moving on, we have the 4 p.m. Thanksgiving Thursday game is the Kansas City Chiefs at the Dallas Cowboys. Look at this spread, guys. And then this is after the Chiefs came back and beat the Colts last week. Cowboys were dead in the water like 5 or 6 weeks ago. Now, they look like a whole different team offensively and defensively. They're playing in Dallas, so maybe that's why this line is what it is. But it's a little closer than I think. I would think the Chiefs could win this one handily, but it's Thanksgiving, America's team. Cowboys have looked differently in recent weeks. They just beat the Eagles, which is pretty cool for Dallas. Good for them. Man, I'm going to, as much as I want to give the Cowboys the points, I am going to take the Chiefs to win outright. I think, still, even though it's not prime time, it's still nationally televised, world-watching game for the Chiefs. So I feel like they always show up in those kind of games. The defense could somewhat hamper Cowboys' offense, and then if the Cowboys' defense resorts back to what they were at all, the Chiefs' offense can put up points on them. So I think that's another reason why the Chiefs can pull this one out. As far as over under 52.5, man, that's really high. Chiefs' defense isn't that bad necessarily, and the Cowboys' defense has looked a little better. So I kind of have to go under in this one as well. 2 rare unders for me to start in the week. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I'm going to zag on... Well, actually, did you take the Cowboys +3.5? I missed that part.
No, I want to, but I actually took the Chiefs -3.5.
Okay. I missed that part. All right, yeah, so I'm going to zag there. I'm actually going to take Dallas +3.5. I think they've just been playing better since these trades, getting Quentin Williams on that defensive line. They've been better, and that's why I'm taking the under with you. I will agree with that. I think this game will be close. I think the defenses will play decently well on both sides, but I do think Kansas City is going to squeak out a win here. Similar to how they won last week, where they really probably shouldn't have. They were down, they came back, all that stuff. It wasn't Kansas City, which is a difference, but yeah, I just, it's tough to go against Kansas City, especially I know Dallas has played better, but they're still not anything super special, and they were losing 21-0 last week, right? Let's not forget that part of the game. They just made a nice comeback. So credit to them. They've won 2 in a row, but I think Kansas City finds a way to pull this out. But I do think it'll be a close, relatively low-scoring game. I can see this being Chiefs win 27-24 or something like that, right? Where it's just under that 52 number.
That's funny. I was literally in my head, I was thinking 21-24 will be the final score of this one. But you know what? If the Cowboys beat the Chiefs, that'd be a huge feather in their hat. So it's another fun game. Like Tom said, we have some fun games for us tomorrow. All right, guys, closing out the Thanksgiving slate of games, 8 p.m. is the Cincinnati Bengals in Baltimore Ravens. Ravens, man, classic nighttime Ravens game for Thanksgiving. Reminds me of when the 49ers played them, way back in 2012 or something like that. Ravens are on Thanksgiving every now and then at night. It's a cool game. Joe Burrow might play. Is he playing this week?
He's playing. He's officially playing.
Wow. Holy, crazy. Well, he's in, but T. Higgins is out. I'm pretty sure about that. Lamar hampered touch by an injury in recent weeks. Hasn't really looked himself, but, they're still winning games. I think the Ravens win this one, guys. I think they beat the Bengals. I think Burrow might be a little rusty. Hate to say it. Might be a little rusty. It's in Baltimore. Tough place to play, especially at night, primetime game. Ravens are going to be pounding the rock against that porous Bengals defense. You know what I mean? Lamar, they're going to have to try and corral him as well. Over under 51.5. Man, if we get prime Burrow, this would be fireworks. That'd be awesome to see, even without Higgins. But you know what? The Ravens defense has looked a little better in like the last 4 or 5 weeks. So I hate to stand 3 unders for me. This is crazy. I'm going under 51.5. Little too high for me. If the Ravens put up 24 and then the Bengals put up 17 or even 20, you know what I mean? That's just to get the job done and win. Do I think they win by more than 7? You know what? I unfortunately I do, but you know what? Don't worry, guys. We have the king of giving the Bengals points about to make his picks right now.
Hey, I fucking nailed it.
Oh,
I
they
don't
did.
think I
They
picked
they
wrong.
covered. They covered.
They covered, man, and I was against my beloved Patriots too.
Wow.
Yeah, this is tough. All right, so before I get into the spread, let me start with the over/under. I'm going to take the under. I agree with a lot of what you said. I think Burrow is just going to be a little bit rusty. Ravens defense has played very well. Now, they have historically struggled against Burrow the last couple of years, right? But that was also a season Burrow, mid-season form, been playing. He's been out for weeks now, coming off injury. No T. Higgins. Jamar was suspended last week, so I do think they'll get some points. 52 just seems high. I don't know. It just seems a little bit high. I think Bengals are going to score around like 3 touchdowns, 3 scores. With that being said, I think the Ravens will win this game, but I think it will be relatively close, like less than 7. So here I go again. I'm going to take the Bengals plus 7 here. You knew it was coming, but I'm going to take the under 51.5, and I'm going to take the Ravens money line. So I do think the Ravens will win. I think they'll do just enough to win this game, and their defense will hold up. But I think it's going to be like a 21-17 type of score, right?
Yes.
Where it's within 7 points, I think, but definitely under 52.
I don't want to dwell on too long. If Burrow is back and he wouldn't be playing if he wasn't ready, and the coaches didn't think he wasn't ready, franchise QB, they can definitely cover that 7. I could see it being a close game towards the end.
It could go over. It could go over.
That
I don't think
too,
it will, but
yeah.
it could go over. It definitely could.
That too. That's a great point. All right, guys. We have, moving on, ready for this? A rare Black Friday game at 3 p.m. Whoa, that's weird. And it's in Philadelphia. The red-hot Chicago Bears, who keep finding ways to win against the Philadelphia Eagles, coming off a loss, but still pretty solid record. Leading the NFC East, I believe, still. Two division leaders taking each other on here in the NFC. Wow. It's a little playoff seeding right here. Might affect playoff seeding. Guys, the Bears are getting 7, and I don't know if they lost a game in their last 5 or 6, or if they're still on a 5 or 6 game win streak. I'm giving the Bears the 7, man. Especially since the Eagles just lost one. They were in a close one against the Packers. The Bears are finding ways to pull wins out. Caleb Williams got ragdolled by T.J. Watt last game in the end zone. He did a full cartwheel, fumbled the ball. Gave up a touchdown, gave up safety, but the Bears somehow still won against the Steelers defense, who's looked a lot better. I think the Steelers defense is, if not equal to the Eagles defense, better. So the Bears can definitely do it. I'm giving them the 7. I like the over 44.5 here, my first over of the week. Eagles are going to have to put up points. Please be careful of the weather in this one. I think I saw somewhere that's supposed to be windy. I'm not sure about the rain or anything like that, but I know it might be windy. And then as far as who's going to win, oh, man, you ready for this? At 270, plus 270, I'm going to take the Bears magic to somehow squeak one out. I don't think the Eagles have lost 2 in a while, let alone losing one at home, because I know Tom said their record at home is incredible. But how do you pick against the Bears here, guys? You know what I mean? At least that's my take. What do you think, Tom?
I mean, listen, Bears, for people who don't know, they start off 0-2, and they should have beat Minnesota in that week. I think it was week 1 game, but they're 8-1 since, right? They're 8-3 right now. And I picked the Bears before the season to make the playoffs, and I know I probably say that on every video, but just want to remind people. That being said, taking Philly here. This is probably the hardest zag that we're going to have all week, but I'm going against you in every route here. I got Philly minus 7.
Ooh.
I got the over 44.5, and I got Philly getting the money line win at home. I think the way I see it is they had a game they should have won handily last week. They blew it. All this talk about turmoil and this and all this stuff. I think the Bears' defense is not good. They gave up 28 points to Mason Rudolph, or whatever, 21 points. I don't know, there might have been a defensive score. But either way, I think Philly comes out, they get some things right, and this is a very much a get-right game at home on a Friday, a shorter week, and I think they get it done pretty handily here. So taking Philly -7. I'm taking the over because I do think Bears will still be capable of scoring some points, and I like the Eagles money line.
All right, we both agreed on the over at least.
Yeah, we got that.
All right, guys, moving into the Sunday slate of games for NFL Week 13, we have the Houston Texans, who can't lose with Davis Mills under center, taking on the Indianapolis Colts, who lost one in overtime to the Chiefs, which is a very close, good game. Here we have the Colts back at home as 4.5-point favorites, taking on one of the best defenses in the league in the Texans. Man, is it good enough to take on one of the highest scoring offenses in the league, though? I don't know, guys. I'm actually going to take the Colts to win this one, believe it or not. Over 44.5. Yeah, I'm going to take over 44.5 just because I know the Texans defense is great, but they have had a couple games with Mills where they have put up 20 points, you know what I mean? And I know the Colts can put up 20, 22, 23 points. I want to give the Texans the 4.5. Man, this is a close game. Fun game. You know what? Then why not? I'll give the Texans the 4.5. Maybe the Colts win by 3 and I hit both picks. But that's only because the Colts are on their own 3-game win streak of their own and have looked good recently. But the Colts are still a powerhouse. It's going to be a tough task for the Texans. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, well, don't forget, Colts lost to the Chiefs last week. But I know what you're saying. Like, they've been good. Keep in mind, Houston, Stroud's playing. He practiced.
Oh, he is playing? Okay.
So I don't know how much that changes because they've, like you said, they've looked good. They've won some big games against Jacksonville and Buffalo, and they almost beat Denver. But they've won a lot of games here with Mills, and they've looked pretty competent. But it sounds like Stroud's going to play, and it's going to be him. With all that being said, that defense is lethal in Houston, so I like the plus 4.5 here. And I'm going to actually take the under here as well, the under 44.5.
Wow.
I think this is going to be really, really tight. And guess what? Here's my first underdog pick of the week. I'm taking Houston to win on the road. I think their win streak continues.
The streak continues.
Division gets really interesting now because they'll go to 7-5. Colts will be 8-4, and the Jags are sitting at 7-4 right now until we get to their game. But I like the Texans on the road. I think they're going to get this win, and I think their defense is going to come up in a big way.
Dude, you want to hear a crazy one? Moving into this LA Rams-Carolina Panthers game, you want to hear something insane? Rams could be the best team in the entire league right now. Powerhouses just ragdolled the Buccaneers, beat the Seahawks before that. Now they're taking on the Carolina Panthers, who unfortunately were a game away from taking the lead in their division with Baker beat up. Now they're taking on the Rams. Oh, that's tough. That's a tough pull. But it is the Panthers. Everything you think they're going to do, they do the opposite, at least for me. Yeah. And it is back in home in Charlotte this week. So guess what? I'm giving the Panthers the 10 here at home. I'm going to take the over. They just put up 9 points against the 49ers' poorest defense last week. This will be the week against the Rams' better defense that somehow they put up points. I know the Rams are capable of putting up points. J.C. Horn, amazing secondary over there in Carolina. I think it goes over 44.5. And do I take the Panthers to win outright? No, I'm going to take the Rams to win. But I do like them getting 10 points. I need a new pen over here.
Yeah, listen, we're 3 for 3 on this one. I saw that 10, and I was like, Carolina seems like a bit of a trap game for the Rams. Not that I'm picking them to lose, but these are always ones to be wary of. Like you said, every time you think one Panthers going to do something, they do the other. That being said, yeah, I think this will be relatively close. 10 is just too many for a home team. So I'm going to take Carolina plus 10. I'm going to take the over with you as well, 44.5. But I do like the Rams to win. I think they'll win around a touchdown, so that 10 could be in flux. But overall, I think they'll keep it within 10 points. So I like the Rams to win on the road and relatively high-scoring game.
All right, guys, moving on. We have San Francisco 49ers taking on the Cleveland Browns, two teams coming off a win. Sanders made his start and looked pretty good, in his first start. Browns defense, Myles Garrett's all they need. They get sacks. They get at least a pick every game. Low over-under, maybe the lowest of the week in this one. And mind you guys, last I checked, I think it's supposed to be raining in this Sunday game too in Cleveland. I'm curious to hear Tom's take on this one, but as a 49ers fan, let me just say to you guys, I feel like we have a history of not playing too well in Cleveland, whether the Browns have been good or bad, and most of the time they've been bad, and somehow they still beat us. With that said, Niners did not play their best game and still squeaked out a win on Monday night. I know it's a short week, but I think there's no way they play worse than they did last week. pound the rock with McCaffrey, avoid Myles Garrett at all costs, and just be careful with that ball, Purdy, and you can beat the Cleveland Browns. The secondary had 2 picks against Bryce Young. They could get a pick here against Sanders, you know what I mean, a young, inexperienced Sanders. Robert Saleh, shout out, working with nothing but backups, doing his thing there. With that said, though, the Browns have a history of beating us in Cleveland, too, in a rainy, nasty mud game in Cleveland. So I could definitely see it being low scoring, but is it not going to go over 36? Listen, guys, I'm going to take the over 36.5, but because of this weather and because of the defenses, it could very well go under. You know what I mean? I remember there was a game where the Niners played the Redskins and the final score was like 10-3 or something like that. Could be something like that. Niners winning by 4.5. They definitely have the offensive capability to do it, so I'm going to circle it. But I'm curious to hear what Tom, unbiased opinion, has to say about this game.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was just looking at the weather right as you were getting into this because you mentioned the potential rain stuff. And what I'm seeing right now is saying snow, right? I think during the week there's some snow projected, and then on Sunday some rain in the morning, and then cloudy the rest of the day. So it doesn't sound like it's going to be that bad, you know? And because of that, I'm going to start and say I like the over. And the over last week, let's be clear, that should have hit.
Yes.
The Browns-Raiders over, we talked about this play. If you haven't seen it, folks watching, stop the video, go watch it, and come back, because the Browns punted the ball on the 29-yard line of the Raiders when they could have kicked the field goal and would have made the over hit late in the fourth quarter. I had never seen anything like that in my life. And we're not going to go down this rabbit hole of rigged games and all that stuff. But I've never seen anything like that. That was insane. I haven't heard the rationale. If there is one, drop it in the comments because I'd love to hear it. But, yeah. So, I'm still salty about that, if you can't tell. With that being said, I'm taking the over 35.5. It's just too low in a pro football game, even despite the Browns having a really good defense and the Niners defense playing better. But I think they'll be able to run the ball a little bit. I think the Browns might be able to run the ball a little bit, even with the factors. So I'm going to take Cleveland plus 4.5. But I like the Niners to get the win on the road here. I think they know how important this game is. They're still competing for a division.
Yeah.
They're super well coached. You said they haven't played well in Cleveland. I get that. Still's a rookie quarterback in his second start. Saleh should dial some things up. And Cleveland is lacking talent in some areas, especially offensively. So I like the Niners to win this game, but I do think it'll be close, and I do think they're going to end up scoring over 35.5 total, but not by much. It'll be somewhere between 35 and 40.
Yeah, it just goes over enough to hit. It could be a classic throwback football game there between two old franchises. All right, we got Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Titans. Jaguars squeaked one out against the Cardinals, just like I feel like every Cardinals game has been against every other team except the Rams and the Seahawks. And then the Titans, they covered against the Seahawks, have looked better. I guess you could say have looked better in recent weeks. Ward threw a couple touchdowns. Man, in this division rival game, and it is in Tennessee, I love what Tom said. Can't really trust Lawrence, you know what I mean? He's not really necessarily the game, the all-star that we're making him out to be. I know they're a little hurt in the wide receiver department, but I don't know, guys. I'm actually going to give the Titans the plus 6.5 here for that reason. I feel like the Titans have looked a little better. Over under 41.5. Yeah, it can go over. It can go over. Neither of these defenses scare me too much, and the offense is capable of putting up 21, 22 points. Do they beat the Jaguars outright? Because of what Tom said before, that division, a lot of the teams at the top are pretty close, so the Jaguars probably know this is a must-win. They might play it a little more safe, conservatively, and have to do what they have to do to get this dub, even on the road. I like the Jaguars to squeak one out, but Titans could cover this one too, 2 weeks in a row. At least that's my opinion. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, so it looks like Brian Thomas should be back, although I don't know what that means because Trevor Lawrence doesn't know how to get him the ball, unfortunately. And then when he does, he's had some drop issues. So not sure if that affects it or not, but I think 6.5 is a little bit high. I know Tennessee's terrible, but they played a good game against Seattle. I mean, Cam Ward is better than I think people are giving him credit for. I've watched some of his tape, especially the last few weeks. And he's got some decent tape for a terrible team and a terrible record. I don't think he's that bad of a player. I think they just got to put the right pieces around him. So with that being said, I like them at plus 6.5. I'm going to ride that with you. I'm going to take the over 41.5 here as well. I think this game might have some rain, so that could factor in this. Keep that in mind if it does end up being rainy. But overall, I like this one to be a little bit of a high-scoring game. Not too high, but above 41. I am going to take the Jaguars. I thought, honestly, about taking Tennessee here.
Yeah, me
I
too.
really did. Wouldn't be shocked if they won, considering I've seen Jacksonville win in overtime versus Arizona, and the Raiders have these like games where they probably should have lost against bad teams, and they're definitely due for one. So, not going to pick Tennessee here, but I am going to take the Titans plus 6.5.
All right, man. What about this spread here? We got the Dolphins minus 265 money line favorites against the Saints. I know neither team's that great, and then obviously the Dolphins are a little better than the Saints, but that spread's a little crazy to me. I know Kamara went down with an injury. Saints have too much to play for recently. I don't know if really the Dolphins do either at this point. Maybe a miracle, but just because of that, I'm actually going to give the Saints the plus 5.5. I know it might seem like a crazy, Hail Mary pick, but hey, these two teams, anything could happen. Those seasons they've had, you know what I mean? Saints have kind of contended in a lot of games with all their injuries and traded away players. Dolphins, tale of two seasons over here. Over under 42.5. I'll go over. Maybe not by a lot. That's like right about where it's probably going to end, like somewhere around there. So that's a tough one to pick. But I will take the Dolphins to squeak one out against the Saints. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, because Kamara's out, Dolphins are coming off a bye. They've won 2 in a row. I'm going to ride their hype a little bit here. They're at home. Saints are still struggling, still with Tyler Shuck, who I'm not a believer of. I'm taking the Dolphins minus 5.5. I think they got a little something they're riding. Not that they're a great team or going anywhere, but I think they'll string out a few more wins to close the season out. I think this will be one of them. So I like them minus 5.5. I like the over here as well, 42.5. And I like the Dolphins to win at home.
Do we know the status on Baker before we get into this Arizona Cardinals Tampa Bay Buccaneers game?
No, he didn't practice today. That's all I saw.
Okay, well, I think Bucky is going to play. Supposedly, they've been saying this for weeks.
Practice, so he should play.
I'd be shocked if he didn't. I think he's back to play, guys. And then you know what? The Cardinals have been putting up points with Brissett, Michael Wilson, Harrison Jr. might come back this week. I know he's been out the last few weeks recovering from his surgery. A lot of these Cardinals games have gone over. I know they just took on the Rams. The Buccaneers just took on the Rams in Sunday Night Football. Didn't put up too many points there. But I like the over 43.5. A lot of these Cardinals games have been going over recently. Baker or not, Bucky back or not. With that said, the Buccaneers defense just could not get it done against Stafford. Was lights out on Sunday night. I don't know if that happens again. The Bucs defense is better than people give them credit for. So even though I'm taking the over, and even though, look at this money line here, guys, very even. So now, if you feel confident about either one of these teams, good betting game. I like the Bucs to win at home. It go over 43.5, and I think the Bucs can go win by more than 2.5. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. Whether it's Baker or not, I think Tampa's just a more talented team, better coached. Now, their defense, like you said, has been a little bit sketchy the last few weeks, but it was also against the Rams and the Bills, so
that's true.
Understandable, right? Especially on the road in L.A. But I like Tampa minus 2.5. I think they right the ship after a couple losses. I'm going to take the over here as well. I think the over 43. Actually, I'm sorry. Looking for the wrong thing. I'm going to take the under for this game, believe it or not, because I was looking at the game confused with a different game. But I'm going to take the under 43.5 in this one. I like the Bucs minus 2.5, and I like the Bucs money line. I think it's going to be a relatively low scoring game, though, especially if Baker doesn't play.
Wow, okay. I like that one. All right, Atlanta Falcons taking on the Jets. Listen, man, as much as, I think he had, one or two bad games. I don't know where all the hate was coming from. Cousins isn't a horrible QB. And like I even said in last week's video, he has a rapport with Mooney and a lot of the people that he's played with last year when he was starting with this team. So, did they win that one? Where were they? They were the Falcons.
Yeah, they won last week.
Beat the Saints. Okay, and they look pretty darn good doing it. I did call get Bijan the ball. He had a better game. Now they take on the New York Jets who, with Tyrod, I don't know who's even starting this week. Fields, they go back to Fields as a Taylor. They just have not looked the greatest. They were kind of in that Ravens game for a little bit, but I think that was just because Lamar wasn't doing his thing. Then the Ravens pulled away towards the end there. Henry had 2 touchdowns. I like the Falcons at minus 148 here, guys. And don't get me wrong, Jets still have pieces. It is in New York, and they could contend. But good money line odds for the Falcons if Cousins plays a safe, solid game. They have Bijan, they have Pitts, they have Mooney, and they have Cousins. I like the Falcons to win this one. I think it goes over 39.5. And then I think the Falcons can win by 2.5. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, so I agree with you on the over. I like the over 39.5 in this one. I'm going to take the Jets, though. Another underdog this week. I'm going to take them plus 2.5, and I'm going to take their money line. I think they'll find a way to kind of win this game. I don't believe in Kirk Cousins at all. Not sure if Drake London's playing, which is a big loss for them. And I think the Jets will find a way to win at home against a pretty sluggish team right now. I think I'm going to go with the Jets plus 2.5 and plus 124 on the money line.
That might have been your first Jets pick of the year.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
All right, 4 p.m. slate of games, guys. We have the Minnesota Vikings, where McCarthy, I'm pretty sure, might not play this week. I know he was in concussion protocol, which might actually be a good thing for the Vikings. But they're in Seattle, and it's a 4 p.m. game, guys, which means it's going to drag on into the night. Very hostile atmosphere to play for any away team. I feel like Seahawks, Vikings always have a history of good classic games between the two of them. Very high spread here, though, guys. Right away, I'll say I like the Seahawks to win outright. I think it goes over 41.5, mix up with the McCarthy. I know the Seahawks can put up points. I like it going over 41.5. There's still pieces on that Vikings offense. Do they win by 11.5, though? They didn't cover against the Titans. It is a backup QB against the Vikings. A little tough, but I am going to give the Vikings the points just to be on the cautious side. What do you think, Tom?
So, yeah, I just checked. McCarthy practiced in limited fashion. I mean, he's been playing like he's had a concussion, all season. So, I don't know if it makes much of a difference. That being said, I'm taking Seattle minus 11.5. I think the reason they didn't cover last week because it was in Tennessee and not in Seattle, and then they had some garbage time points. Seattle's legit. You know that. You're there in your division. You see them. I like them to win this game pretty handily. I'm going to take them minus 11.5. I'm going to take the over here, too. I think this will end up being a game around, like, Seattle gets 30 points. Minnesota maybe scores twice. That'll get us over here. Scores 2 touchdowns, excuse me. And then I like the Seattle money line. Not much else to say about it. Minnesota, the season's essentially over at this point.
What do you think about this Raiders-Chargers division rival game in L.A. this time?
I think the Raiders are the worst team in the NFL, actually.
Unfortunately.
What else can you say? They are terrible. I thought they would be somewhat competitive this year. I didn't think they were a playoff-type team, but thought they'd be competitive. They're not. Chargers coming off a bye. I don't know if Amari Hampton's back or not. That'll be interesting to see when he gets back. And I know their O-line's still banged up, but who cares? Raiders can't do anything. So I'm going to take the Chargers minus 9.5. I'm going to take the over 40.5 in this one. I do think some points will be scored, and I like the Chargers money line at home. This is a must-win game for LA. If they want to make the playoffs, even contend for this division towards the end of the year, they have to win this game.
That's
this is a
true.
game you cannot lose.
That's a great point. And you know what? I'm with you with the Chargers winning at home. I'm pretty sure they took care of business the first time they met earlier in the season. Now it's back in LA's territory. The defense played good against them. But they do still have Bowers. They do still have Genty. And obviously the Chargers, if they can somewhat slow down that pass rush, can put up points. So I like the over 40.5 here. I think the Chargers get their groove back in this game. I think they win by 10. I think they can win by more, 9.5. Very fun one in the Buffalo Bills taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. Ooh, man, the Bills just lost a bad one against a good defense, and here they are taking on another great defense, guys. What team is this Bills year? This year, they've looked a little different. And the Steelers, I think Rodgers might be good enough to play in this one, but I don't know. Rudolph's not too bad. They have 2 decent running backs. They have Metcalf there, and then that solid defense. Oh, God. I'll say the Bills do win this one. But if they don't look good this week, it's going to be very worrisome for Buffalo's season in general. Pittsburgh's looked a lot better in recent weeks. It's in Pittsburgh at night, another tough place to play. I'm going to go under, believe it or not, at 46.5 with Rodgers or Rudolph under center. Another great pass rush, so Allen's going to have to be on his A game, especially with the limited options he has as a receiver. And, if they can bottle up James Cook, I like the under in this one. I think it's going to be 2 very hard-nosed, tough, old-school game. But since I'm taking the Bills to win, you know what? I'm going to give Pittsburgh the 3.5 just in case. It's a tough game to pick. Fun one. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, it is tough. I mean, Pittsburgh's defense actually hasn't been that good, but it's been better at home. It has been better at home. Their only 2 losses at home came to Seattle in week 2, and they gave up 30 to them. And that was after like a weird kickoff and all that stuff. And then they also lost. I was just looking at their schedule. Where to go? They lost to the Packers, and they gave up 35 to them at home. So 2 good teams, right? And now Buffalo comes in, relatively good team. I like Buffalo to win here. They had the extra days off. I'm going to take them minus 3.5. I'm going to take the over 46.5 here too, surprisingly. And I'm going to take Buffalo on the road to get a big win. I think they win by close to a touchdown score.
All right, guys. The Sunday night football game for NFL Week 13 is the Denver Broncos going into Washington to take on the Marcus Mariota-led Commanders. Broncos coming off the bye. Commanders, their season's technically over at this point. I don't think Daniels really should play, even if he has a chance to come back to. Broncos have looked pretty good, man. They've looked pretty good, and here they are coming off the bye. I think they take care of business handily here, even in Washington at minus 265. Not horrible odds to win 100 straight up. I like the over. Believe it or not, the Washington's defense is pretty vulnerable. The Broncos themselves could put up 24, maybe 30 points in this game if they choose to. And I think they can win by more than 5.5. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I just looked, and Daniels was limited at practice, which is crazy because I couldn't, after his elbow injury, I thought he was definitely going to be out for the year. And like you said, their record, they're done. Their playoff push is essentially done at this point. So, not sure if he's going to play. I don't think he should, even if he can. With all that being said, it definitely impacts things whether he's out there or not. But I'm going to take Denver minus 5.5. I do think they'll win this game relatively comfortably. And they're also coming off a bye, I believe. Right?
Yeah.
They didn't play last week, if I'm not mistaken. So it's always a good thing for them. The over 43.5 is tough here, but I am going to take the over. It is a little bit low, in my opinion. These primetime games have been weird and a lot of unders. But I think this one will just squeak by and get over, and I think Denver will get a nice road victory to go to 10-2.
All right, guys, a fun one to close out NFL Week 13 is the Monday Night Football game is the New York Giants taking on the red-hot New England Patriots, who we've said for a couple weeks now they're due for a loss. Is it against maybe Jackson Dart coming back from concussion protocol this week? In the Patriot Killers, the New York Giants themselves, me and Tom were discussing that this line, we thought the spread might be a little more higher, and the money line odds should be a little more different. So kind of read the lines here, guys. It's a little scary. Just because of that, I'm going to give the Giants a 7.5. I don't know what they know that we don't know, because they took care of business last week against the Bengals. But I think the Patriots should win this game. At least, that's what all the signs are pointing to at this point. So I'll take the Patriots to win. I'll give the Giants a 7.5 just in case they do cover. They're capable of covering. They put up points, but they also give up points. And just because of that, I'm going to take the over 46.5. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I agree with most of what you said. I'm going to take the Giants plus 7.5. They've definitely played better. I thought they were going to get routed last week in Detroit, and they should have won that game. Just like the other 5 games this year that they should have won. So, nice to see, but a loss is a loss. That being said, Patriots defense is really good against the run. Against the pass, it's pretty good. Gonzalez is a great corner, but a little more vulnerable there, I'd say. Overall, I think this will be somewhat of a close game, but Pats will get it done. I do like the under here. One of these primetime games are going under. Not sure which one it is. I almost picked the Washington game, but I'm going to flip it and go with this one and take the Giants-Pats to go under 46.5. And I like the Pats to win, and obviously at home go to 11-2. But I wouldn't be shocked if this is a pretty close game, and I think the Giants are just going to struggle to score some points when they need to, especially because they're not going to be able to run the ball as well as they did last week and previous weeks.
All right, guys, running out of time here. We do have our confident picks this week. Tom has the Bills money line. Where they at right here? Bills money line. And he went 2 of 3 last week. So Broncos money line right here. And then the Dolphins Saints over. Okay, that's a cool one right here. Boom. I like the Chargers money line. Where they at over here? We got right here Chargers money line. Bears Eagles to go over. And then there was another one I liked over here. Oh, I believe it or not, I'm going to take the Panthers Rams out here on a limb to go over 44.5. I know the Rams can put up 22. This might be a week where the Panthers put up points. Brother, happy Thanksgiving. Hope everything's good with you and yours. Be safe. I'll see you again next week. Everyone watching, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Enjoy the food, enjoy the football, and we'll see you here again next week for more NFL picks. Tom, you have any? Oh, no. Yeah, well, there you go. See, I'm sure he was going to say, bet with your head, not over it. Have a great, safe Thanksgiving, guys, holiday. If you're traveling, spend time with your family, eat some good food, watch some football, and we'll see you again next week for more NFL picks right here on B-Bucks NFL Picks with Tom Ria Sports YouTube.